hear that beetle talk, you'd think something was gonna happen to us.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 fates worse than death in movies.
I seem to be stricken by a disease with a purpose, wouldn't you say?
For this list, we're looking at movie fates so twisted that the release of death actually seems like a more peaceful alternative. Since we'll be discussing the fates of several characters, a spoiler alert is in order. Which fate do you think is worse than death? Let us know in the comments.
If you like what you're hearing, be sure to check out the full song at the link below. Number 10. Trapped in the sunken place. Get out.
Now, sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
You'll find throughout this list that most of these fates tie into the notion of being powerless. Take Chris Washington, for example. Unknowingly sitting down to a hypnosis session with his girlfriend's mother, Chris is commanded to sink into the floor. Chris suddenly finds himself in a dark void where he can see and hear what's happening around him, but he can no longer control his body. Chris eventually learns that several others have had their bodies taken over, with their consciousness trapped in the sunken place. Director Jordan Peele compared the sunken place to becoming a prisoner in your own mind.
Now you're in the sunken place.
Imprisonment is one thing, but watching somebody steal your life and being virtually helpless to reclaim it gives us an appropriately sinking feeling.
You were one of my favorites.
You hear that, Chris? Huh? One of my favorites.
Number 9. The Iron Maiden, The Old Guard. This action film centers on a group of practically immortal mercenaries. Since they're able to survive almost anything that comes their way, you wouldn't think that the stakes would be especially high. Self-healing can be a blessing and a curse, however. Immortal Queed is willing to accept any fate as long as Andy is with her.
Just you and me. Until the end.
Not only is Queed separated from her close comrade, but her punishment is beyond metal, or iron in this case. Knowing that she'll continually revive herself, her captors ensnare Queed in an Iron Maiden and drop it into the sea, where she is forced to drown over and over again. It's later revealed that Queed eventually escaped, but can anyone truly recover mentally from such torture and trauma? Not to mention isolation?
It's nice to finally meet you.
Number 8. Red Skull's Punishment. Avengers: Infinity War. For Johann Schmidt, aka Red Skull, getting sucked into a wormhole was only the beginning.
We all think that at first. We are all wrong.
In Avengers: Infinity War, Red Skull resurfaces on the planet Vormir, where he's forced to guard the Soul Stone for more than 7 decades as punishment. Unable to claim the Soul Stone for himself, Red Skull can only advise those who seek it.
But it cast me out, banished me here, guiding others to a treasure I cannot possess.
Not exactly the most fulfilling existence, and the dreary scenery doesn't help. We can immediately tell that the years of solitude have taken a toll on Red Skull. Once cunning and charismatic, he now appears defeated and, for lack of a better word, soulless.
In order to take the stone, you must lose that which you love. A soul for a soul.
In one timeline at least, Red Skull's curse is broken when Thanos retrieves the Soul Stone, but where does one go from there? Number 7. The Phantom Zone, Superman. The Phantom Zone is definitely one of the most unique prisons ever depicted on screen, as well as one of the most unnerving. In the first 2 Superman movies, it's seen as a flat mirror-like object that was created by Jor-El. For their acts of treason, General Zod, Ursa, and Nan are sentenced to the Phantom Zone, getting launched into space.
You're 1 of my favorites. 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 1 of my favori
Helplessly flying through space is a chilling notion, and the Phantom Zone's otherworldly nature only adds to the dread. Although Zod is one of the most commanding villains in the Superman lore, even he is visibly intimidated by the punishment that Jor-El has cooked up for him. Ironically, it's Jor-El's son who inadvertently frees the Kryptonian criminals, who are ready for some payback. Number 6. Becoming a Donkey, Pinocchio.
Hear that beetle talk? You'd think something was gonna happen to us.
Disney's version of Pinocchio might not be as grim as the book it's based on, but the fate of Lampwick and the other naughty boys on Pleasure Island still haunts us. Enticing children with cigars, beer, and treats, the coachman plans to turn the boys into donkeys and sell them into slave labor. Some, like Lampwick, are deprived of their ability to speak. It's unknown what exactly happens to the donkeys who can still talk, although we imagine it's not pretty. It's the uncertainty that makes their fate so disturbing. We never see any of them change back into boys, leaving us to assume that they all spend the rest of their days in the salt mines, at the circus, or hee-hawing for their mothers.
The boys, they're all donkeys. Oh, you too! Come on, quick, before you get any worse.
Number 5. The Dementor's Kiss, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Avada Kedavra may be the most fatal curse in the wizarding world, but there are arguably worse fates.
Avada Kedavra! No!
Just as unforgivable is the Cruciatus Curse, which tortures victims into insanity. Using this torture curse on another person could land you in Azkaban prison. If you escape Azkaban and are recaptured, the worst fate of all may await. Sirius Black is almost subjected to the Dementor's Kiss, which involves having his soul sucked out. Although still technically living, the Kiss's recipient is stripped of everything that made them feel alive. Many people take comfort in the idea that a soul lives on in death. While it's unclear what becomes of the soul after the Dementor consumes it, the Kiss derives victims of any comfort whatsoever.
Dudley, run!
Number 4. The Sarlacc Pit, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Getting frozen in carbonite is no day at the beach, but Han Solo is in store for an even ruder awakening after being unfrozen. Jabba the Hutt sends Luke, Chewbacca, and Han all to the Great Pit of Carkoon where, well, C-3PO explains it better than we ever could.
You will therefore be taken to the Dune Sea and cast into the Pit of Carkoon, the nesting place of the all-powerful Sarlacc.
Doesn't sound so bad.
Getting eaten by a carnivorous beast is never a pleasant way to go, but it's the prolonged period of digestion that makes Sarlacc so blood-curdling.
Second thought, let's pass on that, huh?
It's a fate that's slow, gruesome, and pretty gross when you think about it. Although our heroes are spared such a dismal exit, some of Jabba's guards aren't so lucky. Of course, just because you fall into the pit doesn't necessarily mean that escape is futile. Just ask Boba Fett. Number 3. Buried alive or blinded and left with a snake. Kill Bill Volume 2. Few things are scarier than being buried alive. Surrounded by darkness, seemingly all you can do is wait for suffocation, dehydration, or starvation to take its toll. Fortunately, the bride uses the 1-inch punch technique to break free. Too bad poor Ryan Reynolds didn't know that one.
I can't hear you! I can't hear you! Where are you?
Upon squaring off with Elle Driver back at Bud's trailer, the bride gives her old rival an eyeful. We're not saying that visual impairment is worse than death, as many blind people live happy, fulfilling lives. Having your one eye ripped out and being left for dead with a black mamba, however, is another story. Although the bride could deliver a finishing blow, leaving Elle desperately screaming is a far crueler punishment for what she's done. Number 2. Becoming a human fly. The Fly. On paper, becoming a human fly hybrid might sound kind of cool. Your strength would be enhanced and you could crawl on the ceiling. What's not to like? After seeing what Seth Brundle goes through, however, we'd rather just get swatted like a common housefly.
I seem to be stricken by a disease with a purpose, wouldn't you say?
Release doesn't come so easily to Seth. His transformation into Brundlefly is a gradual, not to mention repulsive one. Seth loses his teeth and hair, while his skin is beyond dermatology treatment. As if becoming a disgusting creature isn't bad enough, Seth's sanity begins to crumble as well.
Have you ever heard of insect politics? Neither have I.
Just when you think that things can't possibly get any worse, the Brundlefly's body is fused with lab equipment. When Ronnie shoots the suffering Seth, it's an act of mercy above all else. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few other Fates Worse Than Death honorable mentions. Please try to stay positive. Turned into a walrus. Tusk. Still better than being a fly, but not by much.
Oh, I missed you, Mr. Tusk.
Trapped in Emily's head. Being John Malkovich. Watching both of his ex-wives live happily ever after together.
Oh, look away. Look away. Look away. Look away.
Stinky Pete's Makeover. Toy Story 2. He probably would have preferred rotting in some landfill.
Hi, you'll like Amy. She's an artist.
Under the Moonlight. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. A life without pleasure or pain isn't really living at all.
The moonlight shows us for what we really are. We are not among the living, and so we cannot die, but neither are we dead.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Everyone still feeling positive? All right, let's get number 1 out here for you. Number 1, 15 years in a room and the aftermath. Oldboy. One day, Odesu is captured and trapped in a hotel room where he remains for 15 years.
왜 뭐 때문에 들어왔는지 그것만 얘기 좀 해줘요. 예? 아니 사람이 알고 알아서 있어야지. 이발 이 2달째 이게 뭐 하는 짓이야.
Daesu doesn't know why he's been imprisoned or who put him in there, which makes the next decade and a half all the more agonizing. On top of that, Daesu's wife is murdered and he's blamed. Revenge and the prospect of escape are the only two things that get Daesu through the days. When Daesu is finally freed, the worst has yet to come. Odesu ends up in a relationship with a young woman named Mi-do, but this is all part of an elaborate plot. Mi-do turns out to be Odesu's daughter, and he was manipulated into falling in love with her. No amount of hypnosis can undo this emotional scarring.
Do you agree with our picks? Let us know in the comments. And hey, if you're a fan of the song playing right now, be sure to check out the music video for it right here.
Just a scene.